I want to rewind to 2012 when Georgia safety Shawn Williams called his team out. And he called his teammates out. He said, we're playing soft defensively, and this is your starting safety. So he's including himself in this mix. And we know that team went on to lose probably one of the best, if not the best, SEC championship games ever.
There's a lot about that offense that hasn't clicked that I still think could click or has the potential to click. He's bailed them out and kept them in games with his legs, just like you saw right there. But Tennessee, if they could finish strong here, put themselves in a position and just keep taking shots, you've got to block out what outsiders say about you. In fact, you've got to take the advice that Nick Saban basically gave to the entire sporting world yesterday, which is it doesn't matter what anybody outside of your locker room thinks about you or says about you. Close it out. There's been a lot of rumor and smoke and innuendo up there this week about all sorts of off-the-field distractions. That's what happens when you lose. That stuff happens with winning teams, too. It's when you win, everyone keeps their mouth shut.
But when I look at Florida at this point in time, Real Greer has to give you better production on the road if you want to sustain the way they've played. Now, again, I already said that I think Florida will have trouble running the ball on Missouri. So if they have trouble, it lays at the feet of Real Greer. But the chink in their armor is their wide receivers. And I know everybody you like to call it low-hanging fruit. Everybody likes to immediately go to Brandon Harris and say he hasn't thrown for more than 100 yards in a game. Well, you know what he has done? He's put balls in the hands of his wide receivers. You know what this talented, deep wide receiving core has not done? They have not caught the ball consistently. Grambling State, check. San Diego State, check. Texas, check. Washington and Washington State. Those are the 5 opponents Cal has had this year.
Man.
And their quarterback has played exceptionally well. And I am not berating this individual because he's done a great job. However, I understand this week against Utah, a team that's only given up about 18 points a game and has played quality competition up to this point and has really squashed quality competition. You have to go to Salt Lake City and play this team.
Have you ever eaten cotton candy?
Of course.
So has Jared Goff the first 5 weeks of the season. The carnival ends in Salt Lake City this weekend.
We're going to hear about this one.
How many, and let me free up my hands here, Mr. Rivers, how many shocking upsets are we going to see? You know, cause that shocking upset down in Gainesville last week with Florida over Ole Miss kind of set the table, I think, for this week. A lot more shocking upsets could be coming up. Take a look at the slate. Navy at Notre Dame. Notre Dame's a 14-point underdog here. It's the same kind of spot that Ole Miss was in a couple of weeks ago with Vanderbilt, actually. They're coming off that upset at Clemson. They've got Southern Cal coming in next week. And in between those, you have to defend the triple option. Have fun with that. Georgia Tech goes to Clemson. This one really stands out because who in the world is buying Georgia Tech right now? Right. Nobody. Meanwhile, Clemson undefeated squarely in the top 10. Clemson at home is less than a touchdown favorite against Georgia Tech. TCU. So TCU goes to Texas Tech a couple of weeks ago. You picked the Red Raiders to win. Right. I picked the Red Raiders to win.
Good about
and
it.
I would again. They lost a close game, and then TCU plays Texas, and they destroy them. And everybody's backed off the ledge of, hey, maybe TCU is vulnerable. This is the week where you should be paying attention to TCU because this is the week they have to go on the road against little old Kansas State. And the line in that game, number 2 TCU against unranked Kansas State, 9. Miami at Florida State. 9 is the line there. National college football analyst J.C. Shurburtt. J.C., I'm not going to sugarcoat this. Things are very ugly over in Auburn, Alabama right now. It's gotten kind of to the point where there is no one specific area that you can point at anymore as the key cause for concern. A multitude of issues on the field and off the field. Firstly, your perception of just what's happened here. And secondly, where do they go from here?
Well, I think it's a case of everything that could go wrong has gone wrong. It was important for Auburn with a new defensive coaching staff and with a new quarterback to really get off to a fast start. And you know what they did through the first, I guess, 2 or 3 quarters against Louisville. Louisville then came back, and it's kind of been all downhill from there. You know, what I think you want to avoid is an Auburn-type collapse looking back to 2012, kind of what they went through then, where you're just not competitive and your players just give up. I don't think that's going to happen. It's a different coaching staff than it was back in 2012 at Auburn. You know, I think they'll get back and rally and, you know, be a bowl team. But, you know, during the offseason, they have to ask some hard questions. They have to ask, you know, do we need to recruit over a guy like Carl Lawson because he can't stay healthy? You know, do we need to go get a junior college quarterback to come in here? You know, what are our running backs doing? You know, how many receivers do we need to get?
You look back, what did you take away from what you saw Saturday in Athens?
And they were just firing on all cylinders. I think Nick Saban after the Ole Miss loss sort of rallied the troops, that was a loss that laid directly at the feet of the mental concentration of the players. We all know that's inexcusable for Nick Saban. We all know he's full of psychological tricks and not tricks but methods to get his team's attention. I think he's got them now, and I tell you this, it would not surprise me to see if Alabama win the SEC again, go back to the college football playoff just like last year. The big test is going to come in a couple of weeks in College Station against that offense and that revamped defense in what should be a huge game.
3 close losses now, whispers and rumors off the field, pressure on Butch Jones. How do you see this Georgia-Tennessee game playing out?
Well, Tennessee's staring 2-5 in the face. I think it's hilarious that I'm sitting here talking about Tennessee and Auburn being bad when they were my 2 picks to win the division. So shows how much I know. But Georgia should win this ball game. Tennessee hasn't been that consistent in stopping the run this year. Georgia, of course, can run the football. And then Tennessee's had struggles in their passing game.
Florida appears very ready to win in year 1 under Jim McElwain. They throttled Ole Miss last Saturday. Tough spot situationally, I think, this week. Kind of a letdown sandwich look-ahead spot all rolled into one. The AP, though, has them all the way up at number 11. I've got them even higher than that. I've jumped on board. How much have you bought into Florida so far?
I buy into them. I think they're a legit contender in the SEC East. I think the SEC East likely comes down to the game in Jacksonville between the Gators and Dogs, which for those of us that are SEC East traditionalists, I think that's just fine with all of us. I think Will Grier has a lot of toughness. Their offense is coming around. McElwain and his offensive staff, Doug Nussmeier and company, they're very good coaches, and it looks like they're firing on all cylinders right now.
Northwestern and Michigan. Did some digging in this one today. Still taking Michigan, lowered my confidence to a 3, and I'll probably explain those reasons more tomorrow night. But Cal at Utah. I only had this at a 1 yesterday, and then I went and looked closer at who Cal has played, more importantly, who they haven't played. Who they haven't played as a team anywhere close to the caliber of Utah. I may even go higher than the 6, Mr. Rivers. Utah, not Miami, Utah all the way this weekend. You're up.
What is your strategy? The best offense is a good defense?
It's worked, hasn't it?
A total of 12 points?
It's worked.
Give me my picks, man. I like to go on the edge. Things are not going well for Tennessee. Already had injury problems, thin at receiver. One of the best receivers is gone now. You'll hear more about that. I still like Florida at Missouri. It's good when you haven't been hit as a quarterback. You can put up great numbers. This starts a long string of games where I think Jared Goff gets hit. I like Utah at 6, and that may definitely go up. But I have Georgia Tech at a 1 right now versus Clemson.
Now, I've been told Jared Goff is one of, if not the best quarterbacks in America. You're telling me he can't handle getting hit? Is that what you're telling me?
I didn't say that. I said we'll see if he can handle getting hit.
Well then, I know a young man that does radio every day from 4 to 7 around here that disagrees.